So our first overnight stay was at the Nook Farm Shop and Cafe at the North Pennines, just £5 a night, but great breakfast in the morning. After a quiet night's sleep at the Nook Farm Shop and Cafe, we headed out towards Kilda Forest, where we was going to stop over at the Bird of Prey Centre. There's two falconry centres at Kilda, and this is the waterside one. Just want to mention we passed through Hultwhistle. It's really worth a stop, which we didn't do this time due to the rain, but it's a great place to see. There's lots you can do around Kilda. There's water sports. We've done many of the walks as well through the forest where they've got wooden sculptures along the way, which makes it interesting. But we haven't done that on this trip. But it's quite a nice drive, especially on a nice day. Obviously not so much today. So we arrived at the Bird of Prey Centre, and this is the bird that I wanted to see. We see this many times in Scotland flying free, and it's like watching a barn door. About 8-foot wingspan. The sea eagle, or the white-tailed eagle. This is quite a good centre. It does a lot for birds in the communities, and basically it's £8.50 for an adult to get in. That includes 2 flying displays, and you can come and go throughout the day as many times as you want. Only a small centre, but it's good and educational for the kids and to have a walk around and see some birds close up. I have mixed feelings of whether I should carry on supporting these places. I'm not sure if I'll carry on to do that, but that's just me. But it is nice to see some of the birds close up that you wouldn't normally get to see out and about. Moving on from Kilda Forest, we took the B roads across to Otterburn and Rothbury, and finally landing in Alnwick. We have visited the castle before, so I've just got a picture to slot in there so you can see. There was some great scenery on the way. This is where the Philosopher's Stone was filmed. For our second night, we stayed on a pub car park at the Old Colliery, which was okay. And then our third night was at Budle Bay campsite. This is a larger campsite than what we'd like to stay on, but we're very limited what we can stay on around Northumberland, mainly because when we go away we don't tend to book. We like to just stop wherever we've had enough and just carry on from there. So we're now travelling over to the Holy Island, which is a tidal island. You can go over twice a day, so you do have to check the tidal times. Obviously these change during the year, so you do need to check out the times, as you could be stuck there for quite a few hours. You're not allowed to stay overnight on here, which is such a shame because the beaches are absolutely stunning. Haven't got them on this occasion. We have been many times before, but it is worth a look, and it's really great. On a sunny day, the beaches are just like being abroad. It's beautiful. Worth a look around, but don't get caught out with the tides. Although this video shows that the sea is nowhere near, it comes in very quick, and as you're walking around the island you will see posters where people think they can beat the tide and have got stuck. The tidal itself, the road is about a mile long, continues for 3 miles in total along the island. It takes roughly about 10 minutes to drive across, depending obviously on traffic and conditions, but it's definitely worth a visit when you're in this area. Unfortunately, as we were driving across, it started to rain, as usual, so we couldn't get the drone out and do any aerial shots because it just wouldn't look nice, and you need to see it on a good day. So we headed straight for the village, and I'll show you a bit about the village in a minute. I like walking around Lindisfarne. It's a pretty little village, quite unique. It was given that name by the Anglo-Saxons back in 635, I think it was, AD. Nobody really knows why, what the meaning behind the word is, but it's a pretty little village, especially in the summer with all the flowers on a summer's day. It's really nice. This is one of the main gift shops that I found in Lindisfarne. It's in the centre and it sells pretty much everything. Lots of Viking memorabilia, and it leads into the winery and the gin, which you can do taste, which is really good to have tasters. Some of the jewellery in here is really nice. I do like the Celtic jewellery. Didn't buy anything, so I didn't take my purse on purpose, because I can buy jewellery every time I walk in this shop. And I like all the Viking memorabilia as well, stuff you can get for that. Guidebooks as well, as you can see, on everything. There's also the priory and the castle on the island that you can visit. More about that later. But generally, yeah, good little shop this is. Sells pretty much everything. So these are some of the wildflowers that I was talking about around Linda's farm. They're really pretty, especially when the sun's out. As I was saying earlier about the posters around the village, this is some idiot that thought they could actually beat it because it's got a 4x4. And as you can see, he got stuck halfway. I say he, it could have been a she. But it does happen, it happens regular. Some great videos on YouTube if you want to have a look at that. Google it. There's many people that don't learn and think they know better. Salt water is really bad for your car anyway, so why would you want to do it? This is the entrance to the priory if you want to go in to visit. It's £8.60 for adult, and you can save 10% if you book online. If you just want to see the priory, you can see it without going in on the outside. So the Crown and Anchor pub, as you can see, I haven't been in there, so I can't recommend and say if it's any good. I'm assuming it is, I don't know. Over in the distance you can see Linda's Farm Castle that you can visit. It's advised that you'll do pre-book on the morning that you wish to visit. And if you go online again, you can save 10%, and that's £8.50 to get in. Haven't been there myself. But as I was saying earlier, if you want to just see the priory, you can actually go on some walks, which is dog friendly, around the priory, and you've got some good views across from the island as well, so you can see that. If you wish, you can still walk over to the castle. I haven't done it, don't know how long it takes, but you can do that and take your dog as well. You don't have to book to just walk around the grounds. This is just the view looking across over to Bamborough in that direction. Pretty calm seas as you can see today, and no rain at the minute, which is good. You can actually walk over to the lookout tower, and as I said earlier, if you don't want to pay or go into the priory itself, you can walk around these paths and see it, get some good views of it there. And as this map shows, you've got some other walks that you can do if you have the time and you're willing to do them. So I hope you've enjoyed the bit of a tour around the village of Linda's Farm. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I've done that as quick as I could, maybe a bit too rushed for some, but it gives you an idea. So we went to go on the beach. My advice is, as you drive onto the island, take the first or the second lay-by on the left, and the access to the beach is quite close. In this instance, we're on the way back from the village, and we pulled into the first lay-by, and we never even got to the beach. It was about half a mile plus away, so we give up and just had a little walk across the dunes and come back. So this trip is completely unplanned. We had no idea where we were going, except for we thought we'd hang around Northumberland. Those that know us know that most of our holidays in the van are Scotland. So after a couple of days in Northumberland, as nice as it was, we're like, where should we go? What should we do? And all of a sudden we decided, let's go across the border and go up the coast road of Scotland, which those of you that may know, they do an NC 250, which is a coast road around the eastern coast of Scotland. So that's what we decided to do. Just a rough idea of where we're going to go, but we do take the coast roads as well. Costa stop now. Scottish border. Everyone's waving to me because I've got the GoPro on. You all want to be in the video? So once we decided we was going to do the NC 250, we started to work our way up the coast road, going from Berwick-upon-Tweed to Eyemouth, staying on the A1, cutting off on the coastal route. It is signposted, so if you want to do it, these coastal routes signed. It goes in and out of the villages. There's a few castles on the way, and we were heading for Tantalion Castle was our next port of call before working our way round to Edinburgh. This was just a little harbour at Eyemouth. Again, this is just coming off the A1, following the coast road down, which takes you onto a B road, and then that takes you back up to the A1. But it's worth doing. You miss out a lot by just staying on the A1. You have to get out onto the B roads, basically. Decided to visit Tantalion Castle. This was a really good castle. It's only £3.80 to get in, so great value for money. There's 2 car parks. When you come off the A1, you then join the A198, and then it's signposted from there. It's a coastal route again, so just follow the coast road round. But when you turn off to the castle, there's a car park just off the main road. But if you follow the lane or the road down, that takes you to the main entrance, and there's more parking spaces there, which a lot of people don't realise is a second car park. So they tend to park on the one next to the road. Then you've got a bit of a walk to the entrance. This was in really good condition considering. It's not been open for a while. Some people on Google have basically said it's not open and they've not been had a chance to visit. But for £3.80, this is worth every penny. There's stairs you can climb. You can go up onto the walls and see out. It is really good value for money, and I enjoyed it. I was there for a good 45 minutes while Andy stayed in the car with the dog. In the distance there, you can see Bass Rock for the bird watchers amongst you. That's where all the thousands of birds go to roost, and they have their chicks. Andy will probably go mad now saying what birds are on there because I can't remember. But I think there's gannets and the usual birds that go on rocks. I don't know. I'm not the twitcher, he is. But thousands of birds go on that rock. And they are recovering now from the bird flu pandemic that happened earlier in the year. Going into the first bit of the castle, where we've got some steps, quite well lit as you can see, and not in bad condition after the renovation. This couple in front of me I followed for most of the way, to be fair, so I had to keep cutting bits out because I walked a bit quicker than they did. This is really good. Like I said, this has all been renovated quite recently, so it's in really good condition now, so you can actually get inside the castle, although it's quite run down and there's like parts of it missing and roofs missing and stuff. It was still really interesting, and the views at the top were just amazing. Really enjoyed it. It was great fun. Kids would love it because I did. This castle's really took a battering, not just from being attacked but from the weather. You can see in many points of this video where the weather has actually worn the bricks away and the foundations. It's such a shame because obviously in its day it was very impressive and quite a large castle. I just hope and wish that there's more money that's going into the history that could actually help restore this. As we left Tantelion Castle, we then made our way back onto the coast road, round towards Edinburgh, joined on the A720, then the A90 across the Queensferry Bridge, which was, as you can see, like being in a cloud. We never got to see the Forth Bridge because it was so cloudy and we had rain for most of the rest of this journey. So not great. Nice impressive bridge when you can see it, but no fun when you're going across it in the rain. Balmoral Castle and the start of our tour. Balmoral Castle, somewhere I've always wanted to visit, and as I said earlier, it rained all day. I had waterproof trousers on first time and the only time this week, along with my coat, and it didn't stop me. I was here for a good an hour and a half. It's £16.50 just to enter the castle grounds, and that only gives you entry to the ballroom. There's no other entry into the castle. The rooms are closed. They don't allow you in, and you're not allowed to record in the ballroom. The grounds, however, are absolutely amazing and beautiful. I'm not surprised this was the Queen's favourite place of all of her houses and castles that she can visit. It's just brilliant. Everything she wants is here. Riverside walks, forest walks. It was amazing. I haven't got loads of video of it because the battery ran out and I didn't have another battery with me. So I'll put some pictures on to see, but definitely recommend it. They have a tea room and a cafe as always and a gift shop. And you can also pay a bit more and go to the exhibition. I didn't do that. I just enjoyed being outside and doing all the walks around the place, but it was great. So here's the photos as promised. So just some of the outsides, the back of the castle, and then the foundation stone of 1853 when it was built. Just some sculptures around the place, and then of the gardens at the front. Like I say, this was constant rain all day. It was hammering it down, which doesn't really show in the pictures, which is good, which is why I put this one in. The Queen's got some great, or she had, should I say, some great walks, riverside and woodland walks, and then she got a pet cemetery where all the corgis were buried, and they got little headstones, which is quite sweet. And there was Spark with the dates on. And then you've got the woodland walk as well, which is really nice. It's dog friendly, you can take your dogs in, and there's loads to do. I did over 10,000 steps and I didn't do all the walks, but you could spend hours there, especially on a sunny day. This was Queen Victoria dog called Noble, who died at Balmoral and was buried here. And then the swing, which the royals used to use when the kids were little. So our third night, we got on a little site at Craighead Caravan Park before continuing up the next day to Fraser Beach and then ending up in Lossiemouth. We've been so lucky with the weather on that week. Down home it's been raining, showers most of the week. We've had little showers at all, we haven't had many, and the sun's been shining and it's been really hot at times in the van. This was a good sculpture that I found on the promenade at Fraserburgh. It's called the Net and it's made from bronze. It was in the town, but then it's removed and put on the promenade. Quite an interesting one, just celebrating the fishermen. Found these also on the promenade at Fraserburgh. I love looking at these. We have them on our letterboxes around town. I think it's really good that people make the effort to do these. It's really interesting, and it's nice that people don't actually steal them for once and just leave them there for everyone to enjoy. A lot of work goes into these and it brightens up the place. So they're a bit of a visitor attraction while I was there. Fiddle Rock at Portnocky is a must if you're in this area. Been here before and it's really good to go and visit. Again, dog friendly, you can take your dogs for the walks around the cliff tops, you can go down to the sea level, and it's also set perfect east, so you can always see the sunrise really well. Never been there that early, but look at the photos online, there's some good pictures. But it is definitely a must. Great little place to go to. They've extended the car park, it's in quite a strange area. You don't expect anything to be there, but easy accessible. So we visited the Scottish Dolphin Centre, been here many times in the past, never been lucky enough to see the dolphins. They do believe that they see them every day. We've been at different times and no luck. We stayed here for a good hour trying to see dolphins, but never saw them today. The centre is a conservation and observation hub with live webcams, film screenings and collection of whale bones. There's a usual coffee shop and a bit of a gift shop, and you can pay and display on a small car park that's generally full, and then you can just park up around the edges. It does get busy. So for our night of stay, we managed to find this great little spot on Lossiemouth West Beach. The golf course is just behind the car park, really large car park, and they welcome motorhome people, which is very unusual. So it does get really busy. There's a lot of people and locals that go surfing and go in the sea. But more importantly, you can actually sit here, and if the wind's in the right direction, you can watch the Eurofighters and the RAF, or the RAF Lossiemouth, flying by and practicing. And that happens on all the weekdays. That was really good. We saw a couple of Eurofighters and some of the other planes as we were just sitting there waiting for them to come over right from the end of the runway. It's brilliant. These stones you can see on the beach were there to prevent landings from the war. I had to go and visit the Witch's Stone that was in Forres, which is just outside the police station. You can park up in a car park by the Grant Forest, I think it's called, Grant Park. But that's where they used to roll down witches in the barrels, put spikes through, and the stone is placed where the last one actually landed. Grant Park's lovely, there's red squirrels in there, and there's various walks from 2 miles right up to 8, and there's military aircraft models on one of the walks. Really beautiful place. We didn't have a lot of time to stay here to actually do some of the walks, but I imagine the walks will be really good, so we'll save that for another day. As we were leaving Forres, just going round through the town, the gardens there were beautiful. It looks a really nice place, and to be honest, I think it is somewhere where you've got to go and visit and have a walk around. This box can be found on the A93 Braemar to Aberdeen Road. They are now listed buildings, and this is box 472 and is the only remaining box within the Cairngorms National Park. So we continued along the old military road to Tommytoole, which is the A939. It's a main street really, and we called in the old fire station cafe for a coffee and a cake. There's a lot of memorabilia in there of firemen equipment, old and new, and it's interesting to walk around and just have a look at all the different memorabilia that they've collected over the years. Some of this has also been donated from people that have been passing in, and they've got badges from other countries, and as you can see, it is dotted around all the walls. Quite an interesting place. Staff are really friendly. Great place for a stop. You can't come to Tommytoole without visiting the Whisky Castle. This has over 600 single malts and is run by a couple, Sam and Scott. It was established in 1904 and they stock in excess of 600 malts. It is on the Whisky Trail, So if any of you have been doing that, you should come across this, and it is worth a visit. It's got various prices for all sorts of pockets and what you can afford. It's quite reasonable, going up to £600 a bottle. It's a really interesting shop. They do give tasters, and they really know the stuff and tell you all about the whisky. Last year they had over 30,000 visitors, so it's very popular, and coach people do stop here for the odd half hour and visit. So it can be busy at times, but a great place to come to. So after leaving Tomatul, we continued heading down towards Perth for the tonight, and going along the way we carried on with the A939 and then the B976 before joining the A93 to Balmoral. Before we carried on from there though, we actually had a bit of a stop off in one of the forests along the estate where me and Elsie had a bit of a walk, which was quite pleasant. After about 20 to 30 minutes of travelling on this road, we decided to stop and have a walk with Alfie. Andy actually stayed with the van. I don't know how long it was. I didn't get the steps in on my phone, so I can't say how long it was, but we did the nature trail. There's a couple of trails from here, and it was really good. It didn't rain until right near the end. Didn't see anybody else on this trail whatsoever, and it's a nice pleasant walk. Started up at the track and then it split into two, where the other trail goes up to a viewpoint, and ours was a nature trail that went from the track onto a separate track and then into the woodland that then leads onto a hide. But it was good. We enjoyed it, and it tired Alfie out. This is what I like about walking in Scotland. You always feel safe, where I don't anywhere else walking alone. I'd never do this at home, but I've never had any issue here, generally because you don't get any. Oh, it's so peaceful. It's great. This is what I love, and who can't? What's there not to love about this? It's beautiful. Get it off. Get off the floor, you numpty. And he wonders why he gets conjunctivitis. Go. Come on. Look at the view. How nice is that? Get off the floor, you numpty head. Get up. Off. Get up. Get up. Come on. Come on. Nutty boy. Very knackered. So for our 6th night, we travelled down from Lossiemouth Beach down to Taste of Perthshire, which is a gift shop and restaurant just outside Perth. We've stayed here in the past, and they've extended this quite a bit, and it's got more popular. There's about 8 to 10 motorhomes by the time we went to bed. And we did eat in the restaurant. We can recommend it. It was nice. I had a typical Scottish haggis, neeps and tatties. Very nice it was too. They have Highland cows, and also these outside buildings, so you can actually take your dog to have a meal and sit in there if it's raining and close the doors. You got a bit of privacy, so it caters for all. It's a nice place to stay over, and it's a good stop off point if you're going up north of Scotland. If you look closely, you'll see the swallow flying back to its nest just over the door where it had chicks. Clear day this time on the Queensferry Bridge, and we had the opportunity to see all 3 bridges. So you got the Forth Bridge, which was a railway built in 1890, then the Forth Road Bridge in 1964, and finally the Queensferry Bridge, built in 2017. We couldn't leave the coastline without giving Alfie one last chance for a run and a dig on the beach. His favourite of all we do on holidays. Loves the beach, you can smell it. As soon as we get out the car, he gets excited, which is why he does the barking and all the happiness comes out of him. Can even bark whilst holding a stone. Very talented. Our last night was spent at Strawberry Hill Farm just outside of Durham. It was quite a wet evening. As you can see, it's really muddy, before travelling home the next day. And that concludes our video for this trip. I hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you all again soon. Safe travelling everyone. Thank you.